just a stone throw from here. And I'm sure that if he's thrown, how they have remained faithful to his idea, and how they have remained committed to serving the people of this country. In 1950, Cheddi Jagan sought to unite the people of our country to fight for independence. And it was largely because of the PPP struggle that we achieved independence. And then again, he united our people to fight for freedom in Guyana when that was snatched away from us by the PNC. Along racial lines because of the lies they told about Cheddi Jagan and the PPP. And today, we're breaking down those barriers, we're dismantling the lies so that we can become a national united party along the lines of what Cheddi Jagan envisaged when he set the party up. Because he knew that the only way that this country would make lasting progress if all of its people enjoy the benefit of that progress. He knew that we had to unite people across race, across religion, across gender, across age barriers, so that the national task of developing prosperity for our children and everyone else would be achieved. And so today, as General Secretary of the party, I stand here with immense pride. And I'm sure in your hearts, you also share that pride. I want you to understand how Guyana would have been without the PPP in leadership. In 2020, had we not succeeded in the fight for democracy, Guyana would have been a very different place today. We would have been sanctioned like Venezuela is because they stole the right of people to vote freely. Guyana would have been a pariah state. People would have had to flee this country. No one would have done business with us because we would have been a sanctioned nation. And that is what the PNC was leading us to when they sought to steal the elections in 2020. They lied to their supporters. They told them they had the SOPs. We knew in the PPP they were lying. But the people who came to us, who believed the PNC lies at that time, many of them might be here today, but they recognize now that it was a lie to snatch power by an elite in the PNC that had no concern for them, but only cared about power for the sake of power. So what do they do now, today, when they go back to the communities and seek vote again in Georgetown, in Bartica, in New Amsterdam, or anywhere else in the PPP strongholds? What do you say to people? You say, we won the elections in 2020, but the PPP stole it. That's the lie that they still tell. What would they say to the pensioners? Because they promised them to double old age pension in 100 days, but then took away their free water. What do they say to the children who they took away the cash grant from? What do they say to the sugar workers who were promised 20% salary increase every year and got zero in 5 years. What do they say to the rice farmers? What do they say to the businessmen? They can't say anything. That is why the turnout at their meetings are so low, because their supporters as well as ours recognize that the PNC, no matter what they promise, AFC and APNU, they will never deliver on those promises. So today, you are mainly from Region 6 here, and I want to talk about something that has always bothered me historically. It seems that deeply seated in the APNU is a prejudice against Region 6. Somehow they believe that because it's a PPP stronghold, they must make no investment in this region. Never mind, they get a lot of support from Region 6, like in New Amsterdam and many villages. They blanket, in a blanket way, discriminated against Region 6. When I was president and we sought to bring the university campus here to Region 6, they opposed it. When they were in government, they cut the budget for this region. They stopped spending on everything that mattered in this region. The sugar industry was closed, and it had major consequences for many people. Rose Hall Estate was closed. They sent home 7,000 sugar workers. But if you think that was in the past, at their launch, they said, one of their speakers said, we will shut the sugar industry down and grow marijuana on the land. You heard them. That's not 2020. That's not 2015. That is a couple of weeks ago, the plan was released where they intend to shut the sugar industry down. I remember when they went to WIM, Moses Nagamutu and the others, and said to the sugar workers, we will expand sugar, and we warned against it, that they will shut down estates. People didn't believe us in 2015. Well, now they're saying it again, but this time more explicitly, they've said they will shut down sugar. So all those sugar workers who are here today and their families, you have seen what it's all about. They plan to shut sugar down. You will not have a job. The rice industry in this region, you have a lot of rice farmers. Granger said it was a private industry. Up to now, they can't unveil a single initiative to help farmers, including the rice farmers. They have not. The part-time workers, 4,500 of them here. The day APNU wins the election, you lose your jobs, because they've expressed that already. They said, we are using the part-time workers as politically, they're criminals. We put them in the protest lines to burn people's places. Well, there are many part-time workers across this country, women especially, that we had to find jobs for because they had none under APNU. If I want to talk to the housewives too. The housewives, they talk about cost of living, and if we did not subsidize electricity, if we didn't subsidize transportation, because every gallon of gas that you use to come here, or diesel, the government subsidy is 500 to 600 Ghana dollars per gallon. If we didn't subsidize water, if we didn't subsidize mortgages, your cost of living would have been out of way beyond what it is today. It's true, because some housewives met me and they're concerned about grocery prices, but we have kept a lot of that under check. Norton said he will remove the subsidy from electricity sometime back, and when I exposed him, he changed his view. Next year, you're going to get your electricity bill cut by 50%. We will continue to work to ensure that the cost of living comes down to everyone. Without the PPP in office, there will be no 4-lane road. And come in the next 2 years, by the next term in office, you'll be able to drive from Molson Creek to New Amsterdam on a 4-lane road. You'll be able to drive across the Berbice River on a 4-lane high-span bridge, toll-free. The 2 hospitals that we're building here will be open, delivering world-class health care to people in Berbice. The one in New Amsterdam will deliver international care. It's $160 million only for that one hospital that's under construction now. Without us in office, none of those things would have been in place. Berbice would have been a forgotten county because there's an institutional discrimination in the PNC and APNU against people who live in Berbice. So whether you're from New Amsterdam or Liverpool or Manchester or Portmont or Albion or Topu or Chesley or Blackbush Bowl or anywhere else in this region, you have to understand what is at stake here. That only with a PPP government can this region make progress. And the last elections, we got 41,000 votes from this region. I'm looking for at least 55,000 votes in these elections. You know, there are lots of shenanigans because they recognize the might of the PPP. Look around here and you see that might reflected in this crowd. And our party has grown because it is a trustworthy party. It does what it says, and it is a party that plans for the future. We will outline plans in every sector. As Mark said, we don't say soon and shortly. We have clear plans for the whole future. I saw Azruddin Mohammed coming to the Berbice and meeting with some sugar workers. And you know what they do? They take pictures of people who don't even want to be in the pictures because they're afraid of being sanctioned. So they got here, they went to the sugar workers and told them they will support them heavily. They paid a few people to carry the message. People like Ramaya, I saw he now left them again. He left them, went to them, he went away again. Albion already lost his visa. He can't go to the United States. Albion, in the last 5 years, all Albion has been doing is calling me to beg Zulfi to give him a 50,000 more raise every day. But he was AFC too. Charles Sogrim is AFC. So the AFC handed Mohammed their entire apparatus to help him organize with some PNC people. Because they know they can't come back to you. They can't go to the sugar workers again with the old message because people will chase them. So they want a new face. And the Mohammed, it wasn't the PPP that said that US agencies are investigating him for smuggling drugs from Colombia, for gold smuggling, and for laundering money for the Russian mafia. It was not the PPP. It was Reuters, the largest news agency in the world. It wasn't the PPP that sanctioned Mohammed. It was OFAC, the United States Treasury. Of the 7 billion people in the world, he and his father are two of 17,000. Imagine that. He's putting our country at risk. Just imagine should our worst nightmare come true and he were to become president. He puts our country at risk because the American government has stood by us against the Venezuelan threat. They even had a piece of legislation now going to the Senate to say that the defense secretary must report to the Senate on what plans they're taking to help Guyana protect its border. You think they would want to deal with a man who is sanctioned, who can't even travel up there? He's putting us at risk. He is saving his own ass, and he wants to mislead the people of this country, the sugar workers and the rice farmers and the miners and the Amerindians, by going and posting pictures of himself. Well, I say, likes on Facebook don't vote. The people do, and look at this crowd here. Look at the people. And you know, you have your children. I'm sure a child doing the grade 6 exam could do a better job than answering questions than he did. Your children. The man is a gumbo. He's a gumbo. I said that at the beginning. He couldn't string two coherent thoughts together, and you saw evidence of it. You can't even host a 5-minute press conference all along by himself. He has to have mindless people who are protecting him all around so that the media don't ask him questions. When the media ask him questions, they say that's too hard question. Ask him another one. Ask him about the Lamborghini and how nice it looks. I don't want to talk about Norton. Norton is my handsome friend. Who talking about my bald head? Handsome runway model Norton. But he's struggling to even get people to go to his meetings because people see through them. They have nothing policy-wise for the people of this country. So please be careful. Go to every community. Make sure that you remain mobilized. We have about 40 days remaining. I want you to live, sleep, eat PPP for the next 40 days.